Good evening and welcome to our show, Tayble Top Sports.
The Chef Hour.
I'm Taylor Harrison.
And I'm Steven Sheffield. So in our last segment, we kind of discussed how Kaepernick's protest affected the NFL community as a whole, such as ratings, endorsements, advertising, that nature. And we also touched on how it affected the African American community as a whole.
Kaepernick's protest began with him and several other NFL players kneeling during the national anthem to protest racial injustice in 2016. Since then, he has not played professionally, and recently ads have reignited the debate over the propriety of the protest.
All right, so one side, led by President Trump, argues that refusing to stand during the national anthem is a disrespect to the veterans, the military, and our flags as a whole, while others argue that the military indeed fights for him to have that First Amendment right to do such a thing.
And so after hearing a view from athletes and sports enthusiasts on how it's affected the sports world, we want to shift focus, step away from the field, see how the protest has shined a light on the African American community.
All right, so in just a moment, we're going to be stepping away to get a few quotes from some guests to see how it's affected the community and get their take on the Colin Kaepernick situation.
Stay tuned.
In order for change to occur, you have to be made uncomfortable. Change can't happen inside a comfort zone. Dealing with the Colin Kaepernick situation, a lot of people did not agree with his method, but his method is what got the conversation started. There are a lot of things that he brought to light, dealing with police brutality and social injustice within respective communities, and he felt that this was his way to bring light into that situation. Just from a personal perspective, I used to work a handheld camera in the northwest end zone at Auburn University for the football games. And one game, we didn't have to shoot the national anthem that game. And usually I'm up shooting the national anthem. People are always asking to get them on camera or this, that, and the other. And this particular game, we didn't have to shoot the national anthem. So I put my camera down and I sat there and I had my hand over my heart and I was saying the national anthem, but I assumed the people behind me did not see that. I got back to the office and my boss asked me if I took a knee during the national anthem and things of that nature because they got an email saying that I took a knee during the national anthem, and it was a very crude email, and it just kind of shows that people's perspectives, people want to believe what they want to believe. He did it for his reason, and he's adamantly told people what his reason was, but a lot of people have made it about the military when that is not the case. Just going back to it, a lot of people will not agree with that method, and I personally do not agree with the method, but that is what got people to talk about what is going on today in this world. And being a young black male, after seeing something like that happen to me, even though those people had no idea what I was doing personally, it kind of put things into perspective for me to where I understand that, people will only believe what they want to believe from their own perception. And I think the biggest thing with seeing the discrepancy between two different communities, I think there's a community within the black community and as well as the police community. I think there is a divide in trust, and that relationship needs to be nurtured once again. And I think that all just begins with us communicating with one another. We cannot continue to kind of, believe as though we are right at all times. I think it's more important to be righteous than to be right. And to understand what that means is to know that we're doing what's best for everybody and not for ourselves and our own selfish desire. So I think the next step is to come together and figure out a way to move forward as one, because this is America and it's about liberty and justice for all. So we have to find that common ground to where we can move forward as a nation.
So we're back again with another guest on our show, Tayble Top Sports, the Chef Hour. And, we're just going to hear another guest. He's going to give us his take on Colin Kaepernick's protest and how it has affected Black Lives Matter and the community as a whole. I think it has hurt and helped the Black Lives Matter movement, in my opinion. When he started his kneeling movement, it did bring more light to the situation. Before it just seemed like we said Black Lives Matter, but people were just brushing it off as something that may go away. But once he started this whole kneeling thing, then, you know, that's when it got national attention and things started to change. But I would say it hurt. It wasn't his intent because, you know, it started to sway away from his original intent. You know, it went from police brutality, you know, talking about how we were treated as African Americans by the police to him disrespecting the national anthem, disrespecting Trump, and all this good stuff. So I would say it hurt because people started getting carried away. You know, it was missing what he was originally trying to say.
So you're saying they miscued what his intent was? 'Cause, I mean, in an interview, he said, like, his purpose wasn't for it to be a movement. He was just voicing his own opinion. So how do you feel like that has affected, like, the community? So how do you feel it's affected football in itself?
I mean, like I said, it's just people took what he was doing and totally turned to what they wanted to see. He never wanted to really affect football. He was just using his stance as, well, his platform as a professional player to shed light on the situation that was happening. So, I mean, I could do it. I'm just a regular person, but some people say, oh, okay, whatever. But by him being a professional athlete, you know, a lot more attention was brought to him. So I think that's how, you know, the whole thing got rolling.
Okay, so do you feel like as an athlete you should sports just be sports, or do you feel like he has the right to use his platform to, like, get, like, social issues across? Like, how do you feel about that?
I mean, we're all human. I mean, we have the right to do whatever we want. I mean, he's an athlete. That's just part of him. I mean, he's more than just an athlete. I mean, you see politicians indulging in other things. You see politicians playing sports, you know, celebrity games. Where that argument come from? They could just stick to politicians. They can just stick to politics, but no, they indulge in sports, so why can't it be vice versa?
Well, thank you for your comments. So now we talked about the community side of calling this protest. So, I mean, we're going to get back to sports because it's a sports show at the end of the day. So, why do you think Colin Kaepernick don't have a job? What's your take on it?
I mean, at this point, it's not about sports. I mean, if it was, he would have a job. I mean, he's better than half the starting quarterbacks today. I mean, he was one throw from winning the Super Bowl and one throw away from going back-to-back Super Bowls. I mean, the Ravens, they signed RG3 over him. I mean, don't get me wrong, RG3 ain't terrible, but his best season was his rookie year, and he hasn't put up the numbers since then. I mean, it's not about sports anymore. I mean, it's about money. They don't want that slack. You know what I'm saying? They don't want the backlash that comes from signing him. They say he's going to be a distraction, but he's going to be a distraction if you don't make him a distraction. That's how I feel.
I say, yeah, even with that, you can look at Josh Gordon,
Right.
drug addict. I mean, Patriots picked him up for nothing. And even, Greg Hardy, he's been known for domestic violence. Even recently, Reuben Foster,
Yeah.
he got released. This is his third arrest in 2018.
Right.
And this is his fourth since he's been in NFL for domestic assaults or whatever. And in the Reds, he got signed off waiver. The Redskins were the only ones who put a waiver in for them, man. And they just so he can get a job the next day after he gets released, and Colin Kaepernick still doesn't have a job. So I don't know what's going on. One, he's committing a crime that's a crime not just in the sports world. It's just domestic violence is just a crime all around the board. And then, but one man is choosing to exercise his First Amendment right to protest and to talk, and now he can't get a job. I don't know.
I think it's about money. You know, the owners, they don't want that backlash. The teams don't want that backlash. You know, NFL, 6% of his supporters are white, and you know that in itself is a touchy subject, especially with Donald Trump being our president now. You know, he had his comments and all that. So I think it's just about money. I mean, think about it. If you sign Colin Kaepernick, who you gonna get a call from? The owner. Who the owner gonna get a call from? Probably President Trump, because he had his thing to say about it. They don't want that backlash. Like you said, when they're doing damage just to themselves and bring that attention to themselves, you can easily brush it away. But if they bringing that to the team, the organization, and the city, then you messing with people's money.
So you think it's a comfortability issue? People don't want to seem uncomfortable in sports. Like you said, that's their mode means to relax.
Right.
When you see sports, you just want to see sports.
That's how I feel. But what he does off the field and on the field are two different things. You know, if you hire him to be your quarterback, let him be your quarterback. You know, like T.O. He had plenty of problems off the field, but when he lined up on the field, nobody talked about it because he was there to play football. That's all Colin Kaepernick is trying to do.
And at the end of the day, I mean, it still was a peaceful protest. Like I don't see the problem with it. I mean, it was peaceful. All he did was his need. So he could have lied and said he was tired. I mean, all he did was take a knee. But hey, I want to thank you for your time today on Table Top Sports and Chef Hour.
Thank you.